Hello, hello. I just wanted to kind of give you a bonus video. I had a story from 29029, the event I actually volunteered at this past weekend. And there were so many moments that were showing up with joy was really important. So if you've never looked at the event or never heard about it, if you're one of my friends, you've heard about it a lot. It's 29029 Everesting, and you basically climb the equivalent of Everest up one of the, like a ski resort in certain towns, and depending on the mountain you're climbing, of how many times you need to go up. But this one was at Whistler, Canada. It was 8 times up, so it's one of the longest courses. They have to climb 4 miles, about 4 miles, and they get about 3,900 feet each time. So it's 8 times. And it is a very deceiving course. And even I didn't know that it was going to be that tough for these people. So we went to support a group of 8 people, but probably made hundreds of friends. And one of the friends I met was Jessica. And I just wanted to tell this story because this is all about how we come together, how we show up with joy, how things we do daily can help others. And so when I am talking to you about showing up with joy, I'm not talking to you about making just your life better, because when you show up with joy, you're going to bring joy to everyone around you. And I was so excited. I prayed before I left. I asked some friends to pray for me that, one, I could be humble and understand what people were going through, because I have a lot of tough love. And so sometimes I'm the one that says, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. You can make it. And so there were several times that I knew were going to be people complaining that I was going to have to understand their complaint. Like when they said, I live in Texas, there's no incline there, so this is really tough. And I wanted to be like, I live in Kansas and I've done it. But instead I said, totally understand. You signed up for this. You know it's going to be tough. So those were the things I prayed about, that I could go in and truly support people. But I also prayed that I wanted to use a lot of my faith and be able to help just a few people do things they didn't know were possible. So Jessica was on her, I believe, 3rd climb, and she left her hiking poles, which you have to have. There's only a few people that can do it without, at the top of the mountain in the recovery room. And so when she got down to the bottom of the mountain, Jessica realized her poles were at the top. So again, this is one of the largest mountains. So for her to go back up on a gondola, come back down on a gondola, it's probably going to take an hour off her time. So in her mind, she thought, I'll climb until they can bring my poles. I believe. Not my story, so I only know bits and pieces. So we were radioed. We were halfway up the mountain. We were radioed that we would be receiving these poles. And then she would reach that was the only aid station they could get to. And then she would come to our aid station, and then she'd be able to climb the rest of the way. So we had worked an overnight shift, which was the toughest thing I've ever done. We worked midnight to 7 a.m. We had also previously worked 5 a.m. to noon. And so we tried to sleep, but we did not. And so I was struggling, but it was 6 o'clock. I knew we were getting to the end, and we were cheering people as they came up in pure darkness. They wear headlamps. And this sweet, sweet lady came up, and I believe her name was Michelle. And she said, do you have the poles for Jessica? And I was like, yeah, we do. We're just waiting on her. And she said, oh, she's down the way, but she's struggling. And the previous aid station, it just wasn't the best. And I said, oh, I'll just take the poles to her. I'm thinking she's like a couple steps down, right? So I grabbed Stacy's headlamp, my co-partner, and put the headlamp on, grabbed the poles, and I went. And so you're going down. And I didn't really have my hiking shoes. I really didn't think about it. So I kept going, and I kept running into people, which I felt really bad about, because you have a headlamp and you're going right at them. And I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm looking for Jessica. And they're like, she's just back there. And so then I said, finally, where is she? Like, how far back? And one guy said, she's a little ways. And I don't know the exact distance. It could have been a half a mile. And to you, a half mile is no big deal, but a half mile at these events is a huge deal. It could take people an hour to do a half mile. It could take them 30 minutes. So I hiked down, and I kept running into people. And finally, in this little piece of darkness, there was Jessica. And Jessica was struggling big time. I had no idea. I did not know her story at the time, but I said, you're Jessica, and I have your poles. And so I handed Jessica her poles, and she said, oh, thank you. I'm just not good. Long story short, I told Jessica I was going to hike up with her. I was like, I'm here for you. And she said, I'm just struggling. And, literally we were taking 3 or 4 steps, and she would take a break. I found out that Jessica was a new mom. She had a 9-month-old baby. She also, I believe, has a 2 or 3-year-old baby. And I'm just like, what? She was there with some girls. They were ahead of her. She said, I just think this is it. Like, this is number gosh, I'm probably wrong on my number. So this was probably number 6. Sorry. She left her polls at 5. This was number 6 for her. She had 2 more to go, but 2 more is a lot. And she said, I just don't know how I'm going to do it. 2 more is a lot. And I said, all the things that I knew I needed to say. Think aid station to aid station. You have plenty of time. You still have 12 hours. And you think 12 hours for 8 miles? Good. But it's horrible. And we talked, and I told her about some of my experiences. I told her about some people that I knew I'd struggled. And one thing I knew, I said, please ask yourself, if tomorrow you can wake up and be okay with 6 hikes, then finish 6. But I guarantee you won't be happy. So we gave Jessica up at that aid station. We were off the shift. They were waiting for me to take me back down the mountain. We were going to sleep a little bit before we came back. And I told Jessica, I will be at the top of the summit for my last shift from noon to 8. And I hope to see her there. Lo and behold, Jessica finished number 7 when I was at the top, and I have no idea what time it was. And I was just, oh my gosh, she's going to make it. And I also had told her to find a coach, which is big in these events. And so she did, and Jessica made it. If you look at my Instagram and my reel, Jessica got her red hat. She was one of the last ones to get the red hat. She did it at a time that she thought there was no way possible. She just thought about the things, and she had all of us surrounding her. So just to be part of that moment. But the best moment was we got in the gondola with her because our shift was over. She was the last red hat. She was it. And she said, I'm going to FaceTime my husband. He has no idea. He thought I wasn't going to make it. And so to be in that moment that she got to show him what she did and to hear his words to her were just the most amazing thing. But you know what? It's because I showed up that day. Stacy showed up that day. Not millions. Okay. Hundreds of people showed up for Jessica that day. And so by you showing up with joy each day, you're going to make changes. And so it's not about us. It never was. But you guys, this is the start of something great. So I hope you are on this journey with me for 52 weeks and beyond. And then I hope you also, here's my goal, not to show up with joy, but to help others show up with joy. So share this book. It's on Kindle. It's unlimited Kindle as well. So it's free to those of us that have that subscription. I downloaded my copy this morning. So anyway, cannot wait. I love this story about Jessica. So I hope it inspired you as well. Have a great day.